It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Wednesday, March 6th. And so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Health is Happiness, Bible history word study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is Wednesday already. We're in the middle of the week. Hope you guys have enjoyed your week thus far. Don't forget, we have Q&A Thursday tomorrow and every week, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. And if you haven't yet, leave a like and comment on today's video. Let's build our community together. Let's just converse and talk in the comment section. Just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is Valuably Use the Time That Is Passing. And if you fail to interpret the Bible, you'll be bound by that word. All right, so I believe today's Wednesday message is going to be done by the head leaders. And of course, it's going to be like a special lecture. And it's 1 week before we have 316. So I know that a lot of education on that is going to be coming out too. So I'm looking forward to that also. We all need a refresher on the rapture day. Guys, if you really think about it, it's been 9 years since the rapture. 9 years. It's been a long time, so we do need that refresher too. And especially last year, it was kind of crazy. No one was really paying attention to 316. No one was really paying attention or thinking about what happened on 316 either. So I do think it's going to be a great week for us to listen to this Wednesday message. For me, already Wednesday, closing in on 316. We're about, 10 days away? And I just really hope that we will prepare ourselves well for this glorious day. Give glory to the Holy Trinity for this amazing day. Give thanksgiving not only to the Holy Trinity, but to the man and mission of this time period. For without him, how could it actually even happen? So I really like the new format that was announced for 316, which is Sunday. I believe it is Sunday, right? It is Sunday? 316 actually lands. Yeah, it lands on a Sunday. So, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm really, really happy about that also. But we have the pre-dawn service, we have celebrations, and then on top of that, we have the 1 p.m. service after that too. So I hope that everyone will celebrate that day in a magnificent way with members and newcomers too. All right. So, for me, I have been sleeping, right? And I've been sleeping a lot. And I think I don't really understand, how, what's the right word? I don't really understand how much sleep that I actually had. And I realized to myself, it's like, man, it's been 4 weeks of visitors, not sleeping properly, going to sleep super late, and this, just all this sleep that was building up. And like today, I woke up at like 11:45 a.m. And I thought to myself 2 days would be fine, but it's been going on for 4 days already. It's been 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, it's been 4 days already. And I realized, I realized that I really have to, understand myself and my body a lot better too. But yeah. Oh, so since I was thinking about sleeping, I found out that I was looking at some research on how to sleep better. And they said that it's actually better to keep your room cool when you're sleeping in, like cold. And cold means what degrees? Like I was kind of shocked by how cold you should have your room. And it was anywhere from 13 to 24 degrees. 13 to 20, it should be in the middle of that, like 17, 18 degrees Celsius. And for me, I'm like, wow, that's kind of cold, isn't it? But they said that is the kind of the perfect range of what your room should be. It should actually be cooler, right? So then I thought to myself, I was like, really? I was like, well, why is it? So I was looking at the research of why you need to make your room cool all year round when you're sleeping. So number one is when your room is cool, you actually fall asleep more quickly, right? So what happened is they say that when it's cold, the circadian rhythm prepares the body for sleep when your body temperature drops, and that's why you want to have a colder room. right? It basically tells your body it's time to slow down and get some rest, right? So when you keep your bedroom like cold at like 18 to 20 degrees, you kind of like you're telling your body's natural instinct to sleep. And the room is too hot, it has the possibility of blocking that signal, and it will take even longer for you to fall asleep. So there's the first reason. The second reason why I should have a cool room is you'll actually have better sleep quality. So they say that a lot of people wake up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat, right? And we know you've had that before, and how disruptive that can be to your sleep. So if you keep your bedroom cooler and regulate the temperature throughout the night, you'll find that your sleep quality will improve, right? And another reason, what was it? What's that thing called when it helps you sleep? You know, you have those gummies. What's that called? It starts with melatonin, right? So keeping your room cold also it stimulates melatonin production, and that's the thing you need to sleep better. You do, right? So you have a better chance of experiencing deeper sleep in your room if it's cold. Third reason I thought was very good is anti-aging. Cooler rooms encourage the body to produce melatonin, like I just said, and it promotes sleep. And melatonin is also powerful anti-aging hormone, right? So for girls out there, also melatonin increases. If you have better melatonin, it gives you more. Like the guy I'm reading this off, girls. Regular menstrual cycles, enhanced moods, weight loss, and cancer-fighting properties, and increased brain health. So already there, guys, you'd want to have a cooler room. And like I said, weight loss is a big thing there. Decrease of risk of disease and stuff like that too. And it also prevents insomnia, right? So even if you have a stressful day and you have an overactive brain, right? One of the potential symptoms of stress is an elevated body temperature. Like that's what happens. So you want to have a cooler room for this too. And like I said before, it enhances your mood, reduces stress levels and stuff like that also. So I have been sleeping now with a cooler temperature in my room. And maybe that's why I've been sleeping straight through. But I have been getting some really good quality sleep, but I'm only going at like 24, which is like the maximum range, right? They basically said that anything over 24 can disrupt, and anything under what was it? Was it 11? No, anything under 13 degrees Celsius will disrupt, and anything over 24 degrees will disrupt. So I'm kind of keeping it at the top level, or something along that line. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's something that's really, really good too. So, I would say that everyone definitely try to make your room cooler all year round. And of course, just a gentle reminder, we do have a new live stream coming up on Espresso with Sky, which will change to the Rebel Pastor starting March 12th. I believe it'll be 8:30 or 9 p.m. I'm going to try and figure out which one is actually better. And, I want it so that everyone can just kind of listen in all over Southeast Asia. It'll be a lot easier. Korea might be a little bit more difficult because they're 1 hour ahead, but I know that people don't really sleep at that time anyways. But definitely going to start it with a bang. The Rebel Pastor channel will start by talking about John the Baptist. And I even like what Sunsee's talking about lately, about like Jesus resurrecting into the sky. Like Enoch and Elijah, were they really physically put up into the sky? And I think it was these are just great topics to talk about too, right? So that is something that I am definitely looking into. And the Word is giving so many good ideas for this too. Okay, so this is something I want to talk about, and this is something really interesting for me. Okay, so for me, definitely I have, I have life decisions ahead of me, right? And it's very, very interesting for me because we have life decisions we make in life that are going to alter our life, right? And, for me, I think that I'm going to be super open about this too. Like, I don't think I realized it until now. Life decisions like where am I going to live? What type of work am I going to do? What am I going to do in my future? Like, these are like things that it's not like I can just change. I'm not like in my 20s where I can just change my job in the middle, right? I'm in my mid 40s and I'm basically choosing something that I'm going to probably have to do for the rest of my life kind of thing, like making that choice where to live and all these other different things like this, right? So I don't think this is something I realized by talking to a friend of mine. I talked to a really good friend of mine from Korea, head leader, someone I've known for over 20 years, speaks both Korean and English. And for some reason, just before this podcast, I started talking to my friend, and I just started opening up for some reason, right? And especially because this is someone I really trust, and someone I know who is very, very spiritual. And what's better is this person and I worked together in the Lord's Church at the beginning. We've been very close. I've known this person since like 2002. This person's been head leading for like the last 5-6 years. And I super respect this person also. So I was telling this person, I was like, I didn't realize until I started talking about it, like what my situation really was. Have you guys ever had that before, where you're kind of just going through something, you're not actually exactly sure what it is, but it's only when you finally begin to talk about it, you begin to realize, oh, this is my situation, right? So I was talking about it, and as I'm talking about it, I'm realizing about my situation. So I was talking about my situation. I was like, from last year, right? Or from almost 2 years, because it was 2022 from like September, October, right? It says, so much chaos, all these things, like life-changing things happen. Because remember in like 2022, September, October, that's when KJS was telling all of us to, all the guys to go get married. It was Sun Seems Will, this, and this. All the things blew up. All these things were happening. Craziness, spiritual Oppenheimer, right? And then, of course, in Korea, all these people that I grew up with and ran together with, they kind of either they left or they left and betrayed and stuff like that too, right? And that's why I was telling this person, like, I don't even feel comfortable going to Korea because, like, the world that I knew in Korea is completely gone, right? And, like, from last year during the spiritual Oppenheimer time, I really felt this responsibility to be strong and make sure everything was okay. And that's why, I really focused a lot on the Morning Star Drive, making sure that everything was okay, thinking very reasonably, rationally, getting myself into that zone where we can all kind of digest this situation together. But I didn't realize until today, like really, really thinking about it, it's like this type of situation. When you're like really working hard for some project or event, and you're just burning the midnight oil, running really hard, making sure this event is running well, and it's like a month's project. And then finally, when everything ends, you exhale. Like you're like, and after you exhale, then all the anxiousness and the tension inside you, all that stress, you kind of just release. But what eventually happens is, you start to get sick, you're so tired, you're sleeping for days because you just went through this really, really hectic time. And I was like, oh, I think I'm dealing with that right now. Like I'm exhaling at the moment, You guys have, what's that movie called when Whitney Houston sang the song that says exhale? Everyone falls in love sometimes. Sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it's right. For every win, someone must fail. There comes a time when we exhale. I don't think anyone remembers that song. That's like way back in the time. Oh, The Preacher's Wife. That's from the movie The Preacher's Wife. That song became super like famous. It's talking about the exhale, right? And I think I'm dealing with it. Like I think I've been dealing with it for a while. But of course, I've been super busy with guests coming, also dealing with trying to figure out where I want to live, what I want to do in the future. So it's like one thing after another, one huge decision coming after another. And it's very interesting because the one thing I did confess, I was like, wow, I didn't really think about it, but I do have this. And I say the one thing that I have the most, the thing that stops me from even making any decision at the moment, and it even stops me from praying about these topics, is basically fear. Like, it's so weird, but I have this fear. Like, what kind of fear is it? Like, the fear of if I make this choice and then God is disappointed, or God doesn't agree, or it's not the will, it's not the right choice, but he's just letting me do it because of free will. Or if I do make the right choice, but I can't handle it. And instead, I'm just living the rest of my life suffering instead. Kind of, like it's so weird that I have this type of fear that it even stops me from really, really praying about the situation. It's so interesting. Like when I was talking about it and I'm listening to myself, have you guys had that experience where you're listening to yourself and then you start to look at yourself like from outside yourself, like, whoa, this is what I'm going through. And it was like I was looking at myself like I would look at someone else who was in the exact same situation. And I thought to myself man, if I was talking to someone who was in the exact same situation as me, what advice or what would I say to them? And I was just like, wow, this is so interesting that it's kind of like I'm counseling myself, but not. Because I'm actually kind of getting counseling from someone else. And my friend was telling me, like this person's the same age as me too. And my friend was telling me about this meeting that Sunseem had with the leaders in headquarters, stuff like that. I think it was only in Korea. And Sunseem was basically telling them that his Shimjung was hurt by them. And the question Sunseem gave is there anyone here who can say that they did not shake? And basically, he was like saying like everyone is guilty. Everyone has to repent. Even though we made it through the most difficult time of 2023, the greatest tribulation ever, is there anyone who is innocent and without sin and can be that confident in front of the heavens and say that they were 100% righteous without sin last year? And the answer is no, right? One of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to do things perfectly, completely, and we put in the effort to live a life like this. And it's can anyone really say they have no sin? Is there someone, can anyone who say this in front of the heavens? No, we'd be lying in front of the heavens if we said so. Even Sunseem's repenting each and every day, right? Like in the end, one of the things they said to me is like, this person said to me, this head leader said to me, if I can understand your situation, and I really understand what you're going through, don't you think that God would be even more understanding, right? You gotta pray honestly and sincerely. Tell him everything, right? And, it's just gotta be honest and sincere. What scares you? What are your fears? What's going on in your heart, right? And in my head, I was like, oh, that's so true, because that's what a true marriage is like. When you're being the bride of God and the bride of this history, you just got to be honest. And this is something that the husband wants to hear. They want to hear what's going on, right? They want to hear what's happening in your heart. They want to hear like, oh, this is what you're going through. And like, this is something like if you're married, wouldn't you want to have these conversations with your husband or wife? Right? To be able to gain comfort from each other, to get that support, even if you're wrong, but for them to just be there with you on your side, right? Or in those times that it's necessary that they'll come and rebuke you, like, hey, come on, stop thinking this. Like, you would want that, wouldn't you? So it's kind of interesting because I would say that I actually got counsel this morning, and it was a very, very good session, right? And it made me, like, after everything was all said and done, and after I hung up, I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And I was like, man, this is probably one of the best reasons why we need to have very, very capable and good head leaders. Someone you respect, someone you love, someone who has that extra knowledge, focused on the spiritual, the know-how that makes you think at a different level, right? And all of us, even the person, my friend I talked to today, we're all going to get stuck at one time or another in life. We're all going to go through it. And the truth of the matter is whether we can really reach out to those that can help us, or allow God to work through people to help us look to that next level in a different way, right? So I was like, you know what? My goal right now, I have a 10-day goal. My 10-day goal is just to get my heart in a very solid place for 316, right? 10 days, I'm not expecting to get an answer for all the things that I'm thinking about. 10 days, I'm not here to get an answer. It's to put myself in the proper position to make decisions for the future, right? So I'm not sure if anyone else is struggling or going through this type of thing. Like, I think I'm not realizing that I went through trauma until now. Like, yeah, these are like, oh, wow, like this is kind of crazy, right? But, write in the comments below if you guys are experiencing something similar or not, right? Or if you guys are thinking about the same things, or you guys need that type of, that type of, I guess, counseling or something along that line. So I am in, my heart and my mind is in a very good place right now because I know what to do next. Before, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do this. But now it's kind of like, no. My heart's in the right place when it just comes to this topic, right? So like I was telling my friend, I was like, I don't have any problems with my faith, right? I'm not shaking in my faith. I have no problems with Sunstream, no problems with Providence. I got zero problems in that area. The only one is it's more of a personal thing, right? And I kind of feel bad because it's a personal thing that I have in the situation with Sunstream right now too. But it's still something I look at and say, yeah, you know what? I got to deal with this because it's kind of what Sunstream said in this week's message. Jesus came and the first thing he did was he helped people to solve their issues and their problems, right? And I think that's something that's really important is it's very, very hard to receive the word. And this is what Sunstream said in the past too, is why did Jesus heal people of diseases and help the poor get food and stuff like this too, is because as long as they don't solve those problems, they cannot listen to the word properly. And in the same way too, we have to realize the exact same things. If we want to do this properly and do things in the right way, we have to be those that are able to resolve these problems. And it's kind of like this week's message too, is you got to be able to interpret the Bible really well. And when you interpret the word, you're not going to be bound by ignorance, but you'll be able to solve the issues and problems in your life, right? So that's kind of one of the things it's time to kind of make a turn, make a turn, a turning point, right? And this is when things will change a lot more. I'm super happy that also, like I said, the live stream is going to happen from next week because I find that to be very, very important to kind of get myself back on track. Like when it comes to doing things for this history, I am considering doing Monday night or maybe Monday night Zoom Bible studies once again, and that's going to keep me busy. I think I'll start doing that again. Tuesdays, I'm going to be doing the live stream, and hopefully we'll do some other stuff too in the future. Okay? Either way, so there it is, guys. That is, that's segment number 1 today. Oh, other news, I have some more friends dropping by in Malaysia, probably in the end of June. Super happy. I think a group of 7 or 8 people coming from America. That's going to be super fun. I can't wait. Because it's going to be not for another 2-3 months, which means I will be fully revived and recovered. Right? So I'll definitely be recharged and ready to go. So that is something I'm very, very excited about. And I hope that more and more people can visit in, not all at the same time, please. Not all at the same time. Either way. All right. So we do have Bible history next. So I hope that you guys will enjoy that. But first, let's get into today's first music break of the day.
Show him that you want it though. He can show you where you wanna be. You gotta put in work that'll be unseen. Look, and it's just like that. Take it to the golden city just with a snap. You don't even got a trip, no, we got your back. All you gotta do is sit back and relax. There's this love between you and I that is so strong. I don't wanna ever lose it, then I'll be alone. But if I leave his arms a wonder, I'll be sitting all alone just to ponder. Make up your mind and act as you should. I'ma show you we can be the greatest dude that ever stood. Living with the Lord every day is like my paradise. If you leave your worries and concerns to him, you'll be alright.
Really wanna live with happiness and hope. You gotta live with the one you love the most. And don't forget that even on darkest roads, just find the Lord and grab your heart. Control your deeds. A pretty paradise right from the start.
Paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
The weather's fine, the temperature's cool. 7 on earth, cause I'm with you. Ain't nothing better when we live forever. When we make us to be one true love. Birds of a feather flock together. And it's just like that. Give you my love, cause I don't hold back. Me your love, cause I know you got stacks. This love is real, cause we got it like that. Sandy walks on the beach, summertime. Feel the heat, that's a love paradise. Holding hands, cool breeze, cloud nine. Make heaven together with you and I. Sandy walks on the beach, summertime. Feel the heat, that's a love paradise. Holding hands, cool breeze, cloud nine. Make heaven together with you and I.
Hey. You wanna live with happiness and hope. You gotta live with the one you love the most. And don't forget that even on darkest roads, just find the Lord and grab your heart. Control your tears. A pretty paradise right from the start. Oh.
Paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
He can take you where you wanna go. 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 He can show you what you wanna know. He can show you what you wanna know. I have realized I'm not alone, because living with you is like my paradise.
All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. All the night brings darkness. You're like the sun, yeah, you always shine so bright. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise. Together we're the greatest. Just like the moon and the stars, we light the night. And I can't wait to see you, cause you are my only paradise.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And every Wednesday, these days, we are doing a Bible history word study. We're going over the Bible from Genesis chapter 1 and on. We're already on to Genesis chapter 10, which is, it kind of looks like a very boring piece, because it's basically the genealogy of Noah's three sons, Shem, or Japheth, Shem, and Ham. And that's in order from oldest to youngest. Ham is the youngest, and he's the one that we went over last week who made the big mistake of exposing his father's nakedness. And we know why that was a bad mistake from last week. Now, here is an interesting thing in Genesis chapter 10. Is Ham was the one that was cursed. And how do we know how cursed Ham is? Look at his descendants. And look at some of these descendants. You'll look at and say, oh my goodness, they are cursed. It was the Jebusites, Amorites, Sidonites, Hittites. Like, these are the very tribes that Joshua had to destroy, right? And Ham's descendants also moved into Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So when you see that Ham's descendants his lineage was cursed, it was literally cursed. They are the ones that have been bothering Israel all over this Old Testament time, right? Go into like Joshua chapter 10 and 11, you're going to see who are the ones that they tried to destroy: Amorites, Jebusites, Sidonites, Hittites, like Jebusite. Like, these are the people that had to be destroyed by Israel in order for them to take over the land of Canaan, right? So when you look at this, it's like, wow, they really, really were cursed. So that moves us into Genesis chapter 11, which goes in the Tower of Babel. Okay, so remember, the flood happened in Genesis chapter 6, 7, and 8, right? And then you have like 9 and 10, 6 and 7, and then 8 and 9 is about what happens after the flood. And what we see now is chapter 10 was a genealogy of Noah's family. But what's more interesting is in chapter 11, it goes in the Tower of Babel, which is kind of an interesting story that kind of falls in between, like, why is this really important? However, one thing that we do have to remember, that the Tower of Babel is being built as a direct response to the flood. Okay, so Sonsiv explained this a while back. He said the reasoning for building the Tower of Babel was for people to escape another possible flood, right? So think about this. It makes sense that people without faith will believe that this type of flood is possible of happening again, and they need to build something or do something to counteract the next time it actually happens. Right? So this is why they build a tower high enough to escape the next flood that could happen. And of course, for us as people of faith, we understand that the rainbow is a promise that God would never flood the world again like this. However, if you are unbelievers, then you're going to think, oh, it's going to happen again. What are we going to do? Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Like, for instance, I think it was in Louisiana, they had some hurricane. Was it Hurricane Sandy? I forget which one it was. Oh, Katrina. Hurricane Katrina came in like maybe 15 years ago and just wiped out so much of the houses and businesses and such. So what they did to counteract is they build these huge like man-made reefs so the next one won't do the exact same thing. So it's kind of like, it's a direct result. We don't want to be damaged as much as before, so we're going to build these things to counteract it, right? So what happened here is they built the Tower of Babel because they saw a flood and how high it actually came, and they know that the only way to escape it is to build something that high so the next flood that comes will not be able to kill everyone off like the last one, okay? And, it's very interesting because I don't know why. Because I talked about this yesterday about the Korean birth rate. I was like, yeah, God said he'll never send a flood in to wipe out a group of people that big anymore, right? But I was like, but there are other things that can wipe people out just as much, like a disease, like COVID or like, what was it, the Spanish influenza, which took out way more people than COVID. And then on top of that, we have like the Korean birth rate that, within 50 years, 30% of the population is going to be gone. Like that's what statistics in Korea, that's the forecast for the future. And it's kind of a scary thing, right? Okay, so let's go back to the story. So the big problem with why God did not want the people to build the Tower of Babel is not to say that, no, I want you, I don't want you guys to be safe. No, that's not what it meant. First and foremost, what is it? The Tower of Babel is symbolism that these people think that they can escape God's judgment without following or believing in God or the one that is sent, right? So think about it. If they believed in God and if they truly, truly believed in the one that God sent, that is the best and greatest way to escape judgment. But since the people still didn't believe in God, they're thinking to themselves, oh, we don't need God. Let's just build this so that the next judgment that comes, we can escape it. And it's people becoming human-centered, still human-centered, not God-centered. And these people think that they can do things without God. So there they are making this tower, making a name for themselves, is done not by their belief in God, but it is done by believing in themselves and showing how powerful they are by the size of their tower, right? So then what happens in this story is God comes down and confuses the languages of the people. They stop building the tower and they scatter all over the earth. Okay. Now, one of the things that we have to understand about why this story is important is because in this story, people believe Christians believe that this is where languages began. And it's a very interesting theory, right? If this was a literal story, but we know it's not a literal story, right? So there is a problem with Christians believing that languages all happen from the time of the Tower of Babel, right? Tower of Babel is before Abraham and after the flood, which means the flood happens around 4,300 years ago, and then Abraham is 4,000 years ago. No, wait, sorry, not 4,000. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. 4,000 years ago, right? So 4,000 years ago is Abraham. 4,400 years ago is the flood. So it's somewhere in between there. So it's about, let's just take the average of 4,200 years ago. Let's take the average, okay? So this is from 4,200 years ago, and what they are saying is that from this time, language began and scattered all over the earth. Okay, that's what Christians are saying. Okay, now what do we know about the earliest written, earliest writings, right? Earliest written language started about 5,000 years ago. Okay, so that's just written language, which develops after the spoken language. Okay, so already the writing language started even well before the Tower of Babel. And the estimates that happen right now with linguists widely accept that the oldest spoken language is the Afro-Asiatic, which is the oldest language family. And this is anywhere from 10 to 20,000 years ago. On average, let's just say 15,000. Right? Or let's take the lowest point of 10,000, which is 5,000 years before the written language, which is still thousands of years before the Tower of Babel. And that's why it doesn't really make any sense, right? So the confusion of language we understand when Sunseem teaches about the Tower of Babel is not literally confusion of the spoken language, but it speaks of the language of the heart, which is the most important. The Bible is very clear about what matters. It is not the outside, it is the inside, right? People who speak different languages can still get married and live together, but people who have different hearts cannot. People who speak different languages can still live in peace, but people who have different hearts cannot. The most important part we see here is God confused the language of the heart, what people really want in their hearts, right? It's like that's why the Bible says whatever your heart wants, where the heart is where your treasure is, right? Heart is treasure. Bible verse. Okay. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Okay. What verse is this? I believe this is in the book of Matthew. Let me do a quick look over here. Matthew chapter, or is it Luke? Give me 1 second. Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Right? Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. So the one thing we have to understand is where we can all see it, right? We can all see where your heart really is, because that's your treasure. That's the thing you treasure the most. It's inside your heart, right? So when people have different hearts, think about a tower that's being built. People do it for different reasons. Some of them may be doing it for the fame. Some of them may be doing it for the money. Some of it may be doing it because they really want to escape the flood. Like there's so many different reasons they could be doing it, where when people's hearts disagree, they scatter, right? So this is where the story of the Tower of Babel actually comes from, okay? So when you get to the end of, then we get into, chapter 11, which also goes into some more genealogy, but it's going into the genealogy of Abram, okay, or Abraham. Now, this is a very, very interesting chapter because it shows you from which of the three sons of Noah did Abram come from. So when we look at this, we're like going, all right, so it can't come from Ham, right? It's got to be not from a cursed line. And, one thing we have to look at is say, okay, is it coming from a cursed line or not? And yeah, the one thing that's great is it shows that Abraham did not come from the line of Ham. But interestingly, he did not come from Japheth. Now, why would it say that it's interesting that Abraham didn't come from the line of Japheth? Because Japheth is the eldest son, which is supposed to get the greatest blessing. But instead, he comes from the line of the middle child, Shem. So here's a good thing for all you middle children out there. You middle children, you guys are blessed too, right? At one point, you were the youngest. At one point, you were until the next one was born, right? So Shem is actually the second born, the second brother. Japheth was the oldest, so it's very interesting to see how his lineage is not even from the eldest line, right? Which means that, we're going to head into chapter 12 next week when we go into the full story of Abram, who turns into Abraham. And this is when we get into the father of faith and the father of history. I really loved how Sunseem brought up Abraham this week's message when he says, Enoch went up to heaven because he had great faith. Well, if Enoch goes to heaven without dying, well, shouldn't Abraham go to heaven without dying too then? Because his faith was the greatest and he's the father of faith. And this is kind of where history actually really begins. And we know that as Jesus said, God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. God says he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this is where the conditions are first set for the history of God to be made. Okay? So, if you have any other questions about what we've gone through so far from Genesis chapter 1 through 11, anything else in there that you haven't seen, make sure you go take a look at it from make sure that you go ahead and take a look at it. And if you have any questions or anything else, go ahead, just post them there for me. I would love to hear some of these questions, maybe some things that I forgot to add in, such like that too. But yeah, Abraham, very, very interesting story, and I hope that we can go over the things that Sunseem said about this too. I don't know everything. I only know the stuff that I remember, and if there's any corrections, go ahead and correct me on that too. Okay, so there it is, guys. That is today's Bible history word study. Hope you guys really enjoyed that, which means we're going to move into, of course, the next segment. We're going to have Health is Happiness. I believe today we're going to go into, which one is it? We're going to go to Dr. Abe from Australia. And of course, we're going over some reruns right now, but some really, really good ones that we can go over for the next 5 weeks. And he's going to talk about the important organs like heart disease, lung disease, celiac, and all these are different diseases that we should be going over. So everyone, please, we'll get into Health is Happiness right after this. We'll start with heart disease today. Okay, so before we get into Health is Happiness, let's get into the second break of the day.
To live with God in my heart. The tears you shed pray all night long. Your love and light at the break of dawn. The days when you were gone. Your words stay here in my heart. I'll hold on to you tightly, Lord. Your word is your love, I'm not alone. Now even if this dark world is frightening, wind and waves and thunders crashing, no matter what, our love will not change. You're with me and I'm with you. I will always, always love you, no matter if the world forsakes you. From all the love and miracles through you, I've witnessed the truth. I'll fly high with you. I will never, never leave you, no matter if the world forsakes you. With all the love and blessings from you, I'll never forget all that you've done for me. To live with God in my heart. I will not waver to wrong thoughts. I'll stay right here where I belong. You suffered all along. Your wounds lie deep in my heart. We'll guard you, Lord, till your pain's gone. We'll comfort you, so lie in our arms. Now even if this dark world is frightening, wind and waves and thunders crashing, no matter what, our love will not change. You're with me and I'm with you. I will always, always love you, no matter if the world forsakes you. Your love for God burns so brightly. Rise out of ashes, your light will set me free. I will never, never leave you, no matter if the world forsakes you. With all the love and blessings from you, I'll never forget all that you've done for me.
Okay, so let's get into our final segment for today. And of course, we're going into health is happiness. We got a lot of reruns going on, but these are very, very important for our health. We can't remember it all in one shot. A lot of new people listening to the podcast too. So it'd be great for all of us to listen to these professional doctors that are already working in the hospitals all over the world. I hope you guys really enjoy this. Please welcome Dr. Abe over there in Australia with Health is Happiness.
Hi everyone, Abe here, doctor in Melbourne in Australia. Welcome to episode 28 and welcome back to our organ series where we will cover each major organ in the body, their functions, some of their diseases and how to look after them. Last time, a few weeks back, we covered the kidneys. Join me in today where we speak about the heart. The heart sits towards the left side of the chest. It is a fist-shaped organ with 4 chambers, 2 on the right and 2 on the left. Blood from all around the body drains into the right side of the heart first. From here, our blood is pumped into our lungs where it becomes oxygenated. The blood then flows into the left side of the heart and is pumped to the rest of the body. In terms of how to monitor the heart via bloods and scans, we have a few different ways to do this. We can investigate your heart through a range of blood tests, but we can also use electrical testing of the heart and also imaging of the heart. In terms of the blood test, there is one specialized test known as troponin. Now, troponin is a protein found in heart muscle cells. When there is death or injury of the heart muscle, the dead heart cells release troponin into the bloodstream, and this rise in level is detected, and therefore it is an indicator, if it is elevated, that there has been some sort of injury to the heart. In terms of electrical testing, you may have seen in movies or even had one yourself, when a clinician will put 10 different stickers all over your chest and a couple on the arms and legs. What this test is an ECG, also known as electrocardiography. It's a fancy term, but it's a greatly valuable tool, and we use it to record the electrical signals of the heart. We can then interpret the readings to see if you're having a heart attack or if there are any other funny heart rhythms that your heart might be experiencing. In terms of imaging, we have a few different ways. The first is known as a TTE, or a transthoracic echocardiogram. Once again, we love our fancy terms, but all of this is essentially an ultrasound scan of the heart. We place a scanner over the chest wall towards the left side, and it gives us a really good global picture of how the heart is working in real time. We can look at things like how the heart is pumping. We can see if areas aren't pumping as strongly. We can also look at the heart valves, of which there are 4, and we can see if they're opening and closing appropriately. The other thing is we can also see if there's fluid surrounding the heart, which often happens when there's inflammation of the heart. After this, there are some really specialized tests to image the heart that we can use. One very common one is known as a coronary angiogram. We use this primarily when patients are having heart attacks, and the role of it is to look for any blockages in blood vessels which supply the heart. If a blood vessel becomes blocked, this means that the heart no longer receives oxygen, and eventually, without oxygen, the heart muscles start to die, hence the term heart attack. We'll explore this a little bit more in our pathology series, where I'll explain common diseases like heart attacks, strokes, cancers, and so on. So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. Okay, now so let's move on to who is at risk of heart disease. Because the heart is so central in many things, a lot of things can affect its function. Therefore, those with high blood pressure, those with high cholesterol, those who have diabetes, those who smoke, those who drink excess amounts of alcohol, those who are obese or lack exercise weekly, or those who have chronic kidney disease, as we spoke about last time. All of these different individual type groups are at risk. Moving on, in terms of the different types of heart disease, unfortunately, there is an awful lot. You can have a heart attack, like we mentioned earlier. The heart can go into failure, where it stops pumping blood around the body effectively. You can have floppy, or conversely, narrowed heart valves, and that will affect the dynamics of the blood flowing between the 4 chambers of the heart. The heart can also unfortunately go into unusual rhythms. So, normally the heart is very ordered and rhythmic. If you've ever heard the heart on a recording or via stethoscope, it's very centralized, like lub-dub, like that. It pumps in and out regularly 60 times a minute. And all of this is related to the electrical signals, and that's why we do that sticker test or that ECG that we spoke about earlier. But in heart disease, a few things can happen. The heart can beat too fast, up to 200 times a minute, or it can even beat too slow, for example, at 20 beats a minute. In both cases, this is disastrous and needs to be corrected. So there are a lot of ways that the heart can be diseased. In terms of what symptoms someone might have, they include primarily chest pain. In general, any type of chest pain is not normal. If you do ever experience it, it's best to see a doctor. Other symptoms of heart disease include sudden loss of consciousness. If you suddenly collapse, it might well be related to your heart. Other symptoms include palpitations or a fluttering sensation in your chest, and that might indicate an irregular heart rhythm. Finally, shortness of breath. And although breathing is related to the lungs are inherently related to heart function. After all, the blood has to go via the heart to the lungs. So shortness of breath may well relate to heart disease as much as it may relate to lung disease. And we'll explore a little bit more about the lungs in next week's talk. To end, how can we look after your heart health? Well, as most things in medicine are, it's all about prevention, and that means being mindful of the risk factors. And so I'd say to recommend to control your blood pressure, control your cholesterol, and that can be done by eating a healthy, well-balanced diet that Julius has spoken about in earlier weeks. Stop smoking and reduce your alcohol intake. Finally, and perhaps very importantly, exercise. I would recommend 2 to 5 hours of moderate intensity exercise per week. And by moderate, I mean by the end of your session, you should be short of breath. All right then, well, thank you very much for joining me again on this episode. I hope you learned a few things about your heart today. Leave your comments and questions below, and we'll talk more next week.
And a super huge thank you to Dr. Abe over there in Melbourne. I am really hoping to go visit Melbourne. I love the city and they have great coffee there. Everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed today's talk on heart disease. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it below for Dr. Abe and Health is Happiness, or there is an email below in the description that you can ask questions there too. Okay, so there it is, guys. That is today's Wednesday podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and also enjoy your Wednesday service tonight. Everyone, very happy and thankful for all of you guys listening, and let's see you guys tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know. I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm